For the second night in a row, the San Diego Padres have made another big move, this time acquiring starting pitcher Yu Darvish from the Chicago Cubs along with Victor Caratini. And they also signed Ha Seong Kim from the Korean baseball organization. So Padres have made a lot of moves in these past couple of days. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Darvish trade plus the Kim signing, what it means for the Padres, what it means for the Cubs, for the Dodgers, for the Mets, for the rest of baseball. Because once again, with these moves that the Padres have made the past couple of days, they are showing you they're here to compete. They're here to be one of the best teams in all of baseball. They are saying the time to win is now. The San Diego Padres already have Tatis, Machado, Hosmer, Will Myers, Jay Cronenworth. Now you add Kim in there with Trent Grisham and Tommy Pham. They have a bunch of talent. Obviously, the rotation is stacked right now. I'm curious to see what they do with the bullpen. Do they bring back Trevor Rosenthal, who had a nice year for them? They acquired him the trade deadline. Do they try to bring back Kirby Yates? We know he's had his injuries, but do try to see if they get him to be his dominant self he was for the Padres a couple of years ago. There still could be some more work to be done in the bullpen, because if you want to be a successful team, all right, Padres have the lineup, they have the starting rotation. If you want to add to your bullpen, it would make you all the much better. But I think that for the Padres, now is a smart time to go for it when a lot of teams are not going for it. A team like the Cubs, and I want to talk about them as well. But before I talk about the Cubs, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like on it, comment. What do you think about this trade? How do you feel about the way the Padres are up right now? What do the Mets have to do? What does the rest of baseball have to do right now after all these moves that have happened because of San Diego? And always make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Working our way towards 700 subscribers. And if you already are subscribed, tell a friend. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. Makes me happy. So let's talk about this aspect for the Cubs. Now, for Chicago, they had a disappointing year to me. I know they made the playoffs, but the way their offense completely fell asleep in the postseason against the Miami Marlins, even though the Marlins have some nice young starting pitching, still, you expect more out of the Cubs than that. This is a team that won the World Series in 2016, and they have a lot of the same core as far as the guys in the lineup. And now, because of what happened this year with the pandemic, no fans in attendance, they're trying to cut salary. That's why they traded Yu Darvish. I mean, Yu Darvish was a finalist for the Cy Young this season, and the Cubs want to get rid of him. Yes, you're selling high because Darvish has had his inconsistencies, but still, I mean, if a guy finishes for a finalist in the Cy Young, I imagine you want to retain him if you're a team that wants to compete. We already know that guys like Javi Baez and Chris Bryant, their names have been floated around in possible trade scenarios. Obviously, they non-tendered Kyle Schwarber, so it's clear that the Cubs are heading in a different direction. Maybe Wilson Contreras could be another possible trade candidate. So it definitely has been very interesting to see where the Cubs are one of these teams that they're kind of taking a step back, and a lot of other teams are doing that because of the financial losses. So if you're the San Diego Padres and you know that other teams are not going to be that aggressive, now is the time to take advantage. It's like, you know what? If teams aren't going to go for Blake Snell, they're not going to go for Yu Darvish and for Kim. Let's take them all because we already have a good team as it is. You know, we're not afraid because how often do you have the kind of talent that the Padres already have? You might as well just build on it. And once again, the Padres were able to pull off this trade because of the farm system they have. And the Padres, they had to give up multiple prospects here, you know, and guys that were in the top 20 of prospects, but not necessarily in the top 10. You know, the bigger prospects were the ones they gave up for Snell, guys like Patino and Francisco Mejia. The Padres gave up the shortstop Reginald Presadio. He was the 11th ranked prospect. They also gave up Owen Cassidy, who was the 13th ranked prospect in the outfield. They gave up Ismael Mena. Oh my God, these names are ridiculous. 15th overall prospect, an outfielder. And then the 16th prospect, as if they didn't have enough weird names already, Yesion Santana, a shortstop. So the Padres, they had to give up plenty of prospects. All had really annoying names, so you don't have to say those names anymore until they play for the Cubs. But still, just the fact that they have been willing to give up so much of their farm system. Again, these wasn't the top 10 prospects, but still, that's a chunk of your farm system, and that's what you have to do in order to make these trades. And once again, the Mets could not really pull off the Blake Snell trade or this Yu Darvish trade because they don't have the farm system to do it. So once again, it shows you the value of farm system and starting pitching. Teams that are very competitive and very good, like the San Diego Padres, that's what they do. Have a good farm system. They try to get good starting pitching. And the Mets need to do both of those things. And for the Dodgers, I still imagine they have a counter move. I imagine they have got to do something because as time is going on, if the Padres keep making moves like this, that gap between the two teams is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I imagine that the Dodgers, they could still do something big. They could still make a trade for Lindor or for Arenado. They could still potentially sign DJ LeMahieu. The Dodgers can still make plenty of moves. They're another team that they're aggressive. They're not afraid either. And they know that, you know what, the Padres are coming, and we have to be prepared for them. So if the Dodgers want to do more for their bullpen, we already know they signed Tommy Kahnle. He's not going to be available this year. It's more of a next year kind of signing for their bullpen. So the Dodgers, they're still going going to make more moves, and they're not just going to let the Padres catch up to them and stand back after you're winning the World Series last year. I imagine the Dodgers want to try to build off of the potential dynasty they could have because they've been to the World Series a lot the past few years. So far, one World Series championship. But if I'm the Mets, I've got to do something for the starting rotation. If it's Bauer, if it's Sagano, his deadline is coming up within the next week, so we're going to get an announcement on that very soon. If it's Taijuan Walker, I mean, whoever it is, Mets have got to do something for their starting rotation because just relying on Syndergaard to come back and hope that Steven Matz can bounce back and Stroman's going to be healthy and all these other guys are going to step up, it doesn't necessarily work that way. You can't bank on that. Mets have got to do something for their rotation. As I've said before, I don't love the older guys. I don't love Odorizzi. He's older, coming off injury. Same with Tanaka. He's older. We know his elbow is not in the best shape. He's starting to show that he's on a bit of a decline after a bad start in the postseason for the first time. But also the same goes for Paxton. He had his injuries. Obviously, Corey Kluber's had a ton of injuries. So you got to definitely keep in mind that there are a lot of red flags to these starting pitchers out there. Obviously, I would have preferred Blake Snell over those guys. I'd prefer Yu Darvish over those guys. They're not available right now. The Mets have got to do something in the free agent market because, like I said, they don't have the prospects to really make a big-time trade for a starting pitcher. They got to use that newfound money they have from Steve Cohen and make some signings. And as I've said, they are waiting for George Springer. Springer has got to make up his freaking mind already because he's driving me nuts. Because every day I'm like, are the Mets going to sign George Springer? Is he going to go to the Blue Jays? Is George Springer going to go somewhere else? When will George Springer sign? That's something I ask myself every single day. And until then, the Mets aren't going to do anything drastic because they need to know what's going on with Springer. So I hope that some of these big-time guys can make these decisions. And by the way, one last word before we go. Trevor Bauer is milking the life out of this free agency process right now. He's putting his Padres cap on. He's putting his White Sox cap on. I guess Trevor Bauer has a hat from every single team in Major League Baseball. He puts it on and he wants to make a little video to get fans going and all that. That's great and all, but you know what? Make up your mind. Sign with the team. Stop playing all these games. I mean, the way he's milking it, you would think this guy has been the Cy Young for 10 straight years. Not the first time winning the Cy Young. So, I mean, one pretty good season of 2 months, and he thinks that he's the best thing since sliced bread. And I know I want him very badly because the Mets need the pitching. If the Mets didn't need the pitching that much, I'd be like, forget it. I don't even want Barrett. But the fact is, the Mets need the pitching. And like I said, just don't like these other options. So, unfortunately, I really think the Mets have to strongly pursue Bauer. And then the Padres also getting Kim. That definitely was another nice signing because here's a guy that could play the left side of the infield, whether that's shortstop or third base. Another guy the Mets definitely could have used, even though he is very short, 5'9", 160-something pounds. Hit 30 home runs in the KBO. Had a 300 average past couple of years. So we'll see how those numbers translate over to Major League. I mean, I don't imagine he's going to hit as well in the Major League Baseball as he did in the KBO. It's two completely different leagues, two completely different levels of competition. But we do know that he can swing the bat, and obviously he could play the left side of the infield. But the Padres have maybe the best left side of the infield in baseball as it is right now with Tatis and Machado. So I don't think they're going to move Fernando or Manny. So I imagine that Kim is either going to be a utility player, maybe he's going to play another position, or they're going to move somebody to the outfield. We'll see. I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's better to have too many bats than not enough bats. And the Padres, they just keep showing that they're going to be a team that's competitive, and they're going for it all. So until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets.